I should, oh, is it doing it now? Oh, there we
Yep.
are. Okay. I don't know what I did differently. Geez. So I'm going to say again, I'm Dr. Judy Ann Kellaway here at the Long School of Medicine, and we are here with another Club PreMed web chat, and I love today's topic. It is superpowers, and this is just a fun one, and we'll get to all kinds of questions and things later if you want to talk about anything else, but I want to share with you some superpowers because we should all, we have them. You might just need a reminder that you've got them. So now let's see if I can share my screen in an effective way. How's that, everyone? Good? Okay, success. We're going to start with success. I think these superpowers make you successful. I'm not going to go find my chat. Well, I promise I'll look at it later. You all are welcome to use your emojis, please, and clap or thumbs up and unmute yourselves. There will be a couple of times I want to get something from you, probably some information. Anyway, things your mom or your caregiver, somebody who was like your mom, probably already told you, but let's run through these and see what they're like. When you ask medical students, how did you reach success? They tell you all kinds of things, and we're not going to cover all of these, but I picked 4 out for us to look at today. Setting goals, develop leadership, be positive, and grow confidence. So without further ado, superpower number 1 is goal setting. So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories today in this session. This is a fun one. It was 1979, and yes, that seems like it was a million years ago, but the lesson is still a very good lesson. It was 1979, and Harvard Business School asked its new students, they were there for the Harvard MBA program, right, ready to set the world on fire with their Harvard MBA. They were asked a question, 1979, one simple question: do you have goals? Do you have clear goals and plans to accomplish those goals? Simple question, 1979. What you see there, I'll use my pointer, that big piece of pie, 83% of those students in the new Harvard MBA, or new students to the Harvard MBA program, said, goals, what goals? Here I am, I'm getting a Harvard MBA. What else do I need, right? So 83% said, no, I don't really have any goals. This is 13%. 14, 13, 14, anyway, it all adds up to 100. 13, maybe this was 84%, 13% said, I'm not exactly sure what you have in mind, but maybe the goals I'm thinking of are, maybe it's a maybe yes. So 13% said, maybe, kind of, sort of. And 3%, this tiny sliver of pie, that is not the sliver of pie I have for Thanksgiving, but that tiny sliver of pie is 3%. 3% of the people said, I'm so glad you asked. Do I have goals? You bet I have goals. I have goals right here in my pocket. They weren't on cell phones then, right? Because it's 1979, but they pulled out their wallet, they pulled out their purses and their cards, and they had their goals. They outlined subsets of goals. They had means to achieve those goals. They said, yes, I have goals. So the next interesting part was Harvard came back 10 years later in 1989 and wanted to measure the success of their students. And so let's all agree that money is easy to count, but money isn't everything that should be counted, right? But an easy thing to count if you wanted to measure success that way, which is how this Harvard study proceeded. So they asked their students, now graduates of 10 years past, how are you doing? And they found that the 84% who said, no, I really don't have any goals in mind, they were doing a great job. They were doing wonderful things, considered themselves successful with their Harvard MBA. You know what the 13% were doing? The 13% were making twice as much as the people who had no goals. So the 13% who had something in mind about what they wanted to do with this Harvard MBA were making twice as much as the other group. See that big blank space? See all that white space? The 3% who had goals, worked their goals, were very serious, worked and reworked their goals, were very serious about the goals. Those people were making more than 10 times the other two groups combined. So who's a goal maker now, right? Goals get you down the road, and we should all be keeping lists and subsets and timelines of how we're going to accomplish all of these great things, all of our great ideas. I love this because it happens to me a lot. I have ideas and it is just a dream until you get it on paper or get it, get it on digital paper. And then once you write it down and have a plan, now it's a goal. And now it's really going to be powerful. There's your superpower in goal setting. Why do you need to do this? It puts you in control of everything. It helps you focus on where you want to go. It makes you a better, are you following with me? It makes you a better decision maker. What are the light bulbs for? It makes you more efficient. It gives you confidence. There's your confidence right there, the little guy with the Superman cape on. It makes you enthusiastic because you see things happening. You can watch yourself progressing towards your final goals until you finally hit it in the net. So, and remember the Harvard study, 10 times more than all the other groups combined. So lots of good reasons to set goals. I like sometimes to tell people and have the time in this talk to give you some details. So if you had, for example, a goal to be a great doctor, what is involved with that? Well, there's a lot involved with that. You need to do some apprenticing or shadowing. You need to find a mentor. You need to make great grades. You need to be a leader. You need to maybe do some research. You need to study for the MCAT. There are a lot of things. If that's your goal, you've got all these sub goals, okay? But let's go even further than that and say that your subset, one of the subset goals is to make great grades. So to make great grades, now let me see if I can see chat. Where's chat? There it is at the top. So tell me, what do you do to make good grades or great grades? What do you do? Anyone, or you can unmute yourself. Consistency, like consistent study is a great idea, Megan. Be specific. Sharon, study efficiently. Absolutely. Make a study schedule. That's great. Use a calendar. Study smarter, not harder. What does that mean? Let's come up with some time management. Tell me, Susanna, were you going to say something?
I was actually going to just elaborate a little bit. I think one of the biggest problem, or a lot of pre-meds have, or I've seen, is that we all think that, oh, what is the person who has the highest grade? What are they doing? And then you try to adapt how they're studying or their approach. And this is like something that I made a mistake of, and we're not all created equal. So it's important to take note that we all learn differently. We all have different, I guess, powers. So it's important to take note of that and see what truly works the best for you so you can, I guess, reach your full potential and make those great grades.
Yes, excellent. That's great. That's great.
Okay, Brenda, I'm going to go to lunch now.
Yes.
Okay, I'll be back. There's, I have the QC running on number 2. Number 1 is.
I'm muting everybody.
Yeah, it's running normal. So if anything,
So I can mute you, but you do have permission to unmute yourself. So lots of other things. Go to office hours. That's right. Connect with those professors. Write it down. Cross it off. That's excellent. Anything else? Practice problems. Yes. Going to class and be present. Prioritize your studying. Don't get lured into going to that party. Let's see if some of you've done some of these things. learn how to study. Take a study course. Read a book about how to study in the best way so you can find your way. I think that was Megan, right? Not Susanna. Anyway, I think it was Megan who was talking to us about like finding your way. I think that that's a great thing that I'm going to add to this slide. Practice test, Quizlet, Anki, study groups where you're depending on each other to maybe make some practice questions. There's power in that. When you go to class, my friend Kathleen Straker, her book is 6 Steps to College Success, but those principles in her book really apply everywhere. And she says pre-read, and then there's another good, better, best in there. I get that from her. Pre-read. If you skim it, that's good. If you really read it, take a look at the tables and other highlights in the chapter, that's better. But to really study the work before you go to class is almost like then the class is a review. Anyway, you have to find your way, but there are so many ways, so many things that you can do to make great grades, if you're making B's, maybe you can step up and make A's. If you're making A's, maybe you can do it more efficiently. So that's what goal setting, that's one little piece of goal setting, but you can apply it to so many other things. Here are just some ideas. If you're not a reader, you could set a goal to be a reader. I think we're going to cross some of this in 2 weeks with the next Club PreMed web chat when we do personal growth plan, because this is where some of these things apply. Learn to do something new, do something to improve yourself, do something that adds a skill, set a goal for a leadership activity or something that broadens your experience. So those are some other goals to think about. I see success in people, I've told you this before, who have organization and discipline. So whatever is working for you, organize it and then have the discipline to attack that plan. And that's my quote right there. Don't just go day to day, but grow day to day. Do something to better yourself and grow. Okay, superpower number 2. Let's see what we got. Oh, yes. Okay. Develop leadership. So how many of you, where am I going to find you best? Because I can do a gallery. Let's see, there's my gallery. So raise your hands or give me an emoji and let's see who thinks of themselves as, I'm looking at you, even though it doesn't look like it now. Tell me if you think of yourself as a leader. Raise your hand or give me an emoji or something. Do you think of yourself as a leader? I see some. Okay, so now I want everybody, you're coming along there. Now I want you all to raise your hand and say, of course I'm a leader. Yes, I'm a leader. I influence people in a good way. I put good into the world, okay? Because that's what I think leadership is a group, large or small, with leaders around that influence people in a positive way. We sometimes tend to look at leadership like this, and there of course are leadership roles like this where it's a big thing, bigger than us, and the president, the governor, a mayor, those are all very big roles. But I like this view of leadership better. It's just all of us. It's just all of us, and we have an idea. We become a good model. For example, in a class, you're sitting there attentive, your cell phone is off, you're taking notes, you're engaged. That helps the other person or the people around you become better also. And so you're influencing people in a positive way. And I think that there is leadership in all of us that we need to develop. Okay. Ayula, did you have a question, or you're raising your hand because you're a leader? So if unmute or chat with me. Anyway, feel free again to unmute yourself. So that's what I think leadership is. What do leaders do? How do they behave? Anybody? Leadership is an attitude. That's great. Thank you, Jackie. And Shelby says, step up, but also leaders step up, but also give others a chance. Good listening skills. Leaders can motivate each other. That's exactly right. Inspire people, develop capacity in others. Those are all great. Y'all don't even need this. I'm letting you do the talk next time. Respect, honesty. They act with respect, honesty, fairness, compassion. They feel responsible. They make friends in others. They strive for peace in debate and act with maturity and faith. They stand up for what is right. Sometimes that's difficult. Somebody mentioned listening, or a few did. That's right. They listen with purpose. And it's important to listen. And I think it's especially important to listen now when we're going through, as if we needed other hard times. We're going through hard times, and it's important to listen to all the voices. Listen to all voices. Leaders admit mistakes and they work to improve. What else? They never, never, never give up. And they are humble and gracious even when they lose. They celebrate others and they put jealousy aside. And leaders are brave. Leaders are very brave. I know you know this story. This is just a little girl halfway around the world in Pakistan, Malala Yousafzai. And Malala loved school, loved learning, and stood up for that, stood up for her right when the Taliban invaded her village and took over and said she couldn't go to school. They targeted her. You know her story. She was riding the bus home from school, and one of the Taliban came onto the bus and shot her in the head with purpose because they knew her and her identity. And yes, a wonderful book. So read it. It's called I Am Malala. So, you know, she was the youngest then. She survived. Nobody actually expected her to survive. She survived and spoke out for everyone's right for a great education. And she wrote that book, I Am Malala. We all should read it. She's a little girl and she did big things, but no matter what you do that's good, influencing one person around you or influencing a whole world so that you are the youngest person to ever receive the Nobel Peace Prize, little things and big things make it a better world. So go out there and do that with your superpower number 2. Superpower number 3. Let's see. Oh, I love this one too. Maybe my favorite. We're going to flex some muscle, but just a little tiny muscle there. And we're going to talk about the power of your smile and the hidden power that is in your smile and thinking positively. This is so interesting. If you think that this is a little fluffy and a little frou-frou topic, I'm going to show you some science behind it. In a 30-year study of yearbook pictures, the researchers found that the people who are smiling have better self-esteem, they were more successful, and they were an inspiration to others. Another study also found that yearbook frowners, or people in the yearbook from the past who were not smiling, had a rate of divorce 5 times greater than the others. Interesting, right? There was also a baseball card study, and they found that the players with the widest, brightest smiles lived 10 times longer than the other players. Smiling is contagious. Other studies tell us that you can't really avoid smiling if somebody is smiling at you. This is when I wish all the black tiles I wish we were all there, like smiling at each other, trying to make the non-smiler smile. But it's contagious, and there's power in this. We smile for joy, we smile at things that are funny, but smiling does something in your brain too. Smiling actually does a lot in your brain, and there have actually been a lot of studies. When you smile, even if you just put your face in a smile, even if you bite a pencil to put your mouth in a smile shape, centers in your brain are triggered that produce as much energy as eating a bunch of chocolate. Unless you don't like chocolate, then I don't think it works. But the cash, it also generates all of this positive energy in your brain, like receiving a nice gift of cash, even if you're just putting your mouth in that configuration. Smiling decreases our blood pressure. It helps the good hormones and reduces stressful hormones. It makes us look good to others. It makes us look likable and courteous. And this is important in an interview setting. It makes you look smart and competent in an interview setting or just out there. I love this one. Let's start right here with the Monopoly Go. And the minion is smiling and happy. But in his brain, in their brain, dopamine is released. And now dopamine does two important things. It creates the cycle. So even if the minion was making themselves just smile, dopamine is released, making us really happy, okay? Changing things around. And the other very important thing it does is it turns on learning centers. So what does that tell you? I think before we have big study sessions or you've got a performance or something coming up, maybe you need to do something joyful, smile from ear to ear, experience joy in some way. Let me give you some ideas. And that turns on a learning center. I think that that's fantastic. So you're saying, okay, I don't feel good today. It's not that easy. I cracked my phone. I'm tired of being cooped up in my house. My boyfriend broke up with me. My BFF is dating my boyfriend. So you're not feeling that good. But if you spend, I know you don't feel good, and we have lots of pressures and stressors. If you take 2 minutes for 21 days, we can change our attitude about things, and we can really make our brains start to perceive things in a different way. And this is Sean Acor, another fantastic TED Talk. I think I've mentioned him a time or two. When we have a positive outlook in the world around us or on the world around us, that positivity creates in us resilience, creativity, and makes us actually more productive. So you see, that's a pack of study skills right there. So he gives us these suggestions, and these are the things that he's studied in his work. His TED Talk is hilarious, and you should, and positive and fun and funny, and you should refer to it often. But he tells us, if you will write down, if you will make a collection rather of 3 cards a day, 3 index cards, things that you're grateful for. Find 3 things in the day, at the end of the day, that you're grateful for. It helps your brain relive those that gratitude. Journal, tell a short story in a journal about one happy thing that happened to you today. And these things let our brain re-experience that positivity that came from that happy moment in the day. Exercise tells our brain that behavior matters, and that's important, like meditation. Focus, we've got this ADD. Sometimes I think I have ADD, but really I think it's my world being ADD around me. Just all kinds of things coming at you from all directions, you know. So meditation allows us to focus, and then we can focus on positivity, focus on positive things that have happened around us. And then the last suggestion that he has is do an act of kindness. Do a random act of kindness every day. Email somebody and say, I love you. Email somebody and say, I really miss seeing you. Email someone and say, you know, thank you for what you've done for me. So those little things will create this positive, this positive spirit and help you in all kinds of ways. That was superpower number 3. Now, superpower number 4. I talk about her all the time because maybe she is my favorite. Maybe she is my favorite superpower. But Amy Cuddy now has some great lessons for us. But I want to start with some other things that might help with confidence, help us if we're feeling some anxiety about some things. So these I got from an article out of an Oprah magazine a while back. So if you have to, if you're coming up on an anxious moment, a test, something social, even some of us get nervous about, you know, a new scene, new people to meet, that kind of thing, before a project, before a presentation, and again, before an interview, these little things might help. If you have an hour and you have previously pulled together some things that make you feel good, do a success collection, so that if you've got an hour to go before this important thing, you can look at what you've done before in a concrete way. Take your if you did a marathon, you know, take your, whatever they call that thing, take your badge, take your number, put that in a box with some family photos or photos of your kids or a neat special greeting card that you received. Make a success collection that you can review for a while. If you have 20 minutes, break a sweat. Exercise sharpens your state of mind. It improves, we know endorphins are flowing, probably that dopamine too. Smile while you run, and that does all that extra stuff. It improves your mood. If you just have 15 minutes, sometimes a little jolt of caffeine will help. It gives us, makes us alert and gives us some energy and confidence. And if you have 10 minutes, you might consider just taking a step back from your ADD world and breathe purposefully and listen and feel your breath in and out for several minutes there. It can give you some self-assurance. If you have 12 seconds, shake it up. Like Taylor Swift says, do you know, have you watched the Summer Olympics and seen the swimmers, what they do, right? You watch them on the platform or on the diving board, and they're just shaking everything for a few seconds. And it helps, I think, both energize and kind of, maybe relax is not the word, but focus everything on the task at hand. So it is said to get us energized and give us some self-assurance there. If you only have a couple of seconds, they say spraying, using a little cologne gives us confidence. I like that idea. And if you only have 1 second and your hand is on the knob and you're walking into that interview, smile, sit up straight, hold your head high, put your shoulders back, act in a confident way and smile. And that brings alertness and energy to the surface so that you can have a great interview. And now you see, we skipped the 2-minute one. All right. Bye, Olivia. See you next time. We'll put the recording up so you can hear the rest, but I think you got most of it. If you have 2 minutes, then of course, one of my favorite people is Amy Cuddy. So you must, if you have not spent 15 minutes with her TED Talk, you must do it, because she tells her story in a much better way than I can for you. She's a social researcher. She does social science, and she first, in some of her studies, told us that in an interview setting, if we pretend to be confident, if we sit there in a confident pose, as opposed to people who might pose themselves in a regressed or unsure, nervous posture, the people who pose themselves with confidence are actually rated better than the others, as you can imagine. So that's one good tip. But there is, the science goes further than that. And she says, if you stand there, so I think we should, I think those of you that can should stand or even sit in a pose of power. I myself love the Wonder Woman, but you can do Superman or whatever it is, but chin up, shoulders back, and put yourself in this pose of confidence. While we are standing here doing this for 2 minutes, you're not just acting like you're confident. Your body is changing. And she tells us in her studies that if you test the saliva from subjects who are standing here just in a pose of confidence, your physiology changes. The stress hormone, cortisol, goes down in a significant way. And the hormone that speaks to confidence and good energy is not, I'm sorry to say, estrogen, although I bet if we looked into it, it did some other good things. But that confidence, energy hormone, testosterone, rises in a significant way. So she tells us in a much more eloquent way that if we fake it, not only can we make it, but we're faking it until we actually become it. And so you can make yourself more confident. And if you practice this on a regular basis, think how great you will be. And if you practice it, especially in a season before the MCAT or in a season before interviewing or other things that may create anxiety for us, if you add to that positive thought, a smile, look, she's smiling broadly, you know, so there are several things I think that can making this happen, you know. So think about affirming, I can do this, I know everything, I have studied for the MCAT, I'm going to ace it, I know what the questions in this interview are going to be, I'm the expert at my story, it's going to be just great. So think, if you just roll all of those things into that power pose, think how powerful you can be. So that's the superpower. That's the superpower lesson, or the superpower lessons for the day. So I enjoyed it. I'm going to look to the chat now. Okay, she wrote a book. Thank you. Bringing your boldest self to your biggest challenges, in case anyone is interested. That's excellent. Thank you so much. And Fatima says there's a free Yale course on Coursera about the science of happiness. That's great. I'm going to go look that up too. Thank you so much. Y'all always have great resources to share with everybody. So I'm glad. I'm not sure look, way ahead, short. That was short and sweet. What else do we want to talk about? If anything, we can do questions and answers, and you can unmute. Natalie, do you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a quick thing about listening. I know we were talking about how important that is. And I've heard that when it comes to listening, you shouldn't use what other people have to say as like a launch pad for your own opinion or your own like assertions, but simply just to listen to what they have to say. And that usually is a good component of being a good leader.
Boy, what a necessary thing to know right now, right? Yes, yes. Absolutely. That's a very good point. How do you know, I forget to do these things sometimes, you know, so I think we have to go into conversations or situations and pull these things back and be purposeful with them, you know, and say to yourself, really, I really need to do that. I'm going to focus on what that person is saying and respect that opinion and listen and try my best to understand it, you know, if you don't. I didn't read the book. I'm going to go ahead and confess I didn't read the book, but there was a book, what was it called? Snap. Did anybody read that book? Anyway, so I did have a period where I was at another job and trying to like not react in meetings and things like that. And so I wore a rubber band for a long time, and I would like just snap it through I would like snap myself and not say anything. And that would help me like gather my thoughts. And instead of react, I would be thinking, okay, like be respectful. Let me give this some thought and then combine what I've learned now with what I'm going to say. Honey, that's a good thing. Thanks, Natalie. Maybe I'll get my rubber band back. Fatima, how are you today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Great, thank you.
I love these sessions. I look forward to them
thanks.
every 2 weeks. These are very exciting. I kind of wanted to switch the conversation more to just something about interview season.
Sure.
And I know other schools have mentioned that they're doing everything online. I just wanted to see what Long is thinking of doing.
Yes.
Is it going to be a hybrid or?
So we, as far as I know, all medical schools across the country and probably all residency programs across the country are ready to have a virtual interview season. Well, we're not ready, but we're planning a virtual interview season. So we did talk about the interview itself last time in these new settings, and what is it going to be in that virtual setting. We are going to have probably our same Friday interview day. Is this what you mean? You want to know like how our day is going to go?
Kind of, yeah, because
I don't know, but I have candles lit and prayers going and lots of things crossed. We all feel like this. We all feel like, and I think I mentioned it last time, we're really going to miss having you on campus in a person-to-person way. For a lot of schools, and we feel the same way, Long School of Medicine may not be on people's radar sometimes until you hit our campus and you meet us and we have this great day together, because it is a fantastic day. And so we're trying to recreate that, and we're worried that we won't be able to quite create it. But what we're going to do is have the presentation, that I do a formal presentation. We usually have a welcome breakfast. We'll probably have some Zoom rooms for people to come and like get ready, and maybe there'll be an Amy Cuddy room where people can like take a breath and breathe and stand with confidence and get the nerves out. And Dr. McCormick usually comes by to make people get rid of their nerves. She's our director in the Office of Inclusion and Diversity, so she is a great person to have, and does some fun icebreaker things with our group. So we'll probably do that. The students want to have, we were saying, I don't know how we can like do the social, but they have ideas, and we're doing the night before social. So instead of going to a venue and having some snacks and things, our students will be around playing games, maybe Jackbox or fishbowl sorts of things. We haven't worked out those details. And let's see, so after the initial intro things, we'll do interviews, and we're very lucky that our software platform has already incorporated Zoom. And I thought I was a Zoom expert. I'm learning every day. Every time we meet, I'm like trying to figure something out, apparently. But so that's great. We have a fantastic, our committee has always been so great, really the right mindset about what we want our interviewees, the applicants, to know. And we have a new committee formed, and we'll talk about all of these other things in detail, but you'll have still an interview like this with one of our faculty members, and you'll have an interview like this on a Zoom platform with one of our senior medical students. We are also, remember I mentioned this probably in a few settings, that we're doing a SOVI, a standardized one-way video interview. We're going to ask for, we're not going to require it, because if it really just, if it makes you too nervous, we don't want that at all. But in our pilots, it was so positively received by our committee members, and everybody just looks so good. I think it's going to really work in an applicant's favor. And I'm even kind of hoping the platform will be open, the link will be out there for any applicant. So hopefully some applicants will try it also and maybe submit that for us to review. We're not really using it for a screening thing, but it's potentially a screening tool also. So that'll be done. What else do you want to know? Then I think what I'll do in interview season, I usually do this web chat once a month. So we'll probably go back to once a month, and on another because every week I'll be wanting to have some sort of informal chats with the people who are interviewing with us. And if you all have some idea to share, I'm ready to listen. So we have some, I think we have some fun ideas to come up with our day. We have our marketing people and the president and the dean and others involved in making some great videos about the city, because people don't know San Antonio, and they should know San Antonio. We are so much more than just the Alamo, so much more. What else? And a tour of the school and our facilities and hospital and things like that, and lots of videoed but also live but virtual interaction with our students. How was that, Fatima? Can you think of anything else?
That was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nerve-wracking to talk to previous medical students and how they went through the process and stuff. And they're like, we honestly don't know what it's gonna look
Yes.
like for you. And they always say that going on campus really changed
Yes.
what they were thinking, and it really changes someone's mindset about what they want.
Yes.
So just to follow up on all that you said, is there a possibility that you can come on campus individually after your interview, and just explore?
Yes, I'm hoping. So we did a virtual second look experience, and we had lots of people there and gave them opportunities to talk to all. We had 50 breakout groups that students could follow. So if the campus can open up, even for example, if it opened up to groups of 10, I'm not sure. I mean, we always work around the student schedule because they're a big part of our day, so we would have to work out logistics. But if the campus could open up even for small groups, then we would open that up to anybody that we've interviewed, you know, so that they could kind of have an asynchronous visit to the school. And then, yeah, just open things up as the world starts to open up again. I'm hoping. So is that a possibility? Yes.
Okay.
If not, I mean, but the other thing you have to remember, I think, is find facts. You know, if you're thinking of, don't cross anyone off your list, just find out the facts. Ask the question. Did I tell y'all last time I was going to give you that matrix, that comparison chart? So somebody remind me, and maybe I will post a link. Did I link that on the YouTube channel? I think there's a way I can post some things there, so I can give you that. But it gets into some specifics about the preclinical curriculum. What did you like at this school about that? Haven't I mentioned that to y'all? Maybe not. So I'm mentioning it again. I have a matrix that you can use, and it says you've got columns where you can put all the schools that you're considering, either before an interview and then for sure afterwards. And it says preclinical curriculum and clinical curriculum and the faculty interaction and the vibe. You have to do the vibe thing with a grain of salt in a virtual setting, I think. And it goes on and on, the city and the context and special things that stick out to you. You have to, as you explore getting closer and closer to medical school, you have to decide what's very important for you and find those things in every school. Get the answers to the questions that are most important to you. So I can post that somewhere. I wanted to mention it. Say it again.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. I might need a reminder. I'm writing it down, but a reminder email from somebody wouldn't hurt either. Let's see. Post the matrix. I usually have some things that I give people specifically at the second look visit, and that's one thing, because people are coming down to like some details, and you might as well start early to develop that database for you. Right. I wanted to mention that Linda said power of positive thinking is awesome. That's talk about old reference. That's a fantastic book. Norman Vincent Peale, he's the positivity person. The Power of Positive Thinking is a great book too. I have it on a shelf out there somewhere. Thank you. What else would y'all like to know? Any hands up? Oh, so I'm so sorry. Where's Hamna? Hamna, are you there? Hamna, I'm so sorry. I don't know how long you were out there, but welcome. I'll share the recording with you. It'll be on the YouTube channel soon. So what else can I tell y'all? What else would y'all like to talk about? How's MCAT study coming?
I actually have a quick question.
Yes, go, Megan.
The lessons that you shared today, they're all obviously very helpful, but one of the things that sometimes I personally find myself struggling with is that, I guess, imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Per se, like, am I doing enough? Is this, and I guess like part of it is from comparing yourself with other applicants, which I know you shouldn't be doing, but you can't sometimes, I guess, stop that noise in your head. It's like, okay, am I doing enough? Am I studying as hard as I should be? Is this enough? Like, can I even, like, with my stat, like the MCAT score that I have, are my scores enough? And I guess I just wanted to ask, what is your recommendation on how to deal with those negative feelings?
I think it's hard. I think it's very, yeah. So if we ask people, do they have worries about that? Do they feel like they're in the swirl of this imposter syndrome? I think we'd have almost everybody raising their hand and saying, yeah, this really drives me crazy sometimes. So I understand this sounds like too easy, but try some things that we talked about today. Push those things out of your brain. And when I do think that this works when you're saying, oh my gosh, is it enough? And your worries are, this happens to me sometimes in the middle of the night. And then I'm like, I can't turn my brain off, and I'm worried and stressing. And I tell myself, you can't do it now. You can't send the email. You can't take care of it. Just like stop, but I can't. But I wonder if we pulled some of those lessons from Sean Acor, smiling, being positive, push those thoughts out with some affirmations that are positive. Yes, I can do this. It's my journey. It's not anybody else's journey. Don't worry about everybody else who's doing other things. You're getting, I know you're getting good advice from all around. So that you've got this feeling of a vocation that's calling you, and you just need to like fight those feelings and push them out of your brain with facts, positive things, the facts that it is your journey. You can't do anybody else's journey. Those kinds of things. I don't know. That sounds a little like, I don't know, glib or something. Does anybody else? Do the rubber band thing. Put a rubber band on your wrist. Yeah. Every time you think of it, snap yourself and then try to think of something positive. Once the sting goes away. Right?
Yeah, I like that suggestion. Just like, I think one of the advice, the ending your day, well, it was more like write 3 things you're grateful for, 3 positive things that happen. I think, yes. I don't know, just like thinking more as you're explaining, like ending our day, like kind of like a night journal, and maybe like, I don't know, like writing down 3 things that went great today or that you're super grateful for, and ending your day on a positive note.
Yes.
I could see that being, I guess, in itself empowering, but also take that nervous anxiety feeling out.
How about now, I'm not sure. So listen to Sean Acor and listen to when he's telling you to do it. He says if you do it 2 minutes for 21 days, now your brain, that's enough for your brain to be retrained. But what if and I do believe he says on a card, write 3 things. So at the end of 21 days, you have a collection of these cards. It's not just in that moment when you write those positive things down. In that moment, you're getting that joy back and you're feeling that positivity back, but you should look at them. So maybe you do have a routine where you're doing these things at night, journaling 1 happy thing from the day, writing down 3 things that you're grateful for that happened that day. But what if you look at them in the morning? What if you set your alarm? This is part of I'm going to write it down for a personal growth plan in 2 weeks. make an alarm, and at 8 o'clock or whatever is the appropriate time, or stick a thing on your mirror so when you're brushing your teeth, you say, look at your cards, because the collection is going to grow. I don't know if you can just like, oh, put sticky notes, put them until your whole brushing the teeth mirror is filled with these sticky notes. Every night you do that, stick it up there, and then in the morning, there it is. That's anybody else anybody else thinking of something else? I like that idea too. I might do that. Get an erasable pen. Get an erasable pen. So I have erasable pens everywhere, and I cleaned my windows recently. Usually there are ideas and work things on there, but on my mirror, I'll put the cleaners and things that I need to remember, but maybe I need to remember to be positive and be confident and that kind of thing. So you could even get an erasable marker and write it on your mirror. I write things on my car mirror too. I'm going to go do that today. It's been cleaned off. Okay. What else? I thought somebody else. Yes, Natalie, sorry.
I was going to make a quick suggestion about that. I know we don't need validation from other people, but I have like a box of cards that people have given me like over the years. And, I feel empowered when I'm surrounded by people who love me or positive affirmations. So I just like looking over those things and reminding myself like,
yes,
I'm loved, I'm supported.
Yes. Yeah. That's very good. And I think we live in a connected state. And I think that that's what's so hard on people right now when we're all sequestered, to get together like this and talk to each other and share ideas and things is a very connected. I think humans are made to connect. So that in itself is validation, right? So I think that that's a great idea to go back. And that's like that success box that we talked about that was in the Oprah article. Make that collection of things that you can go through that lift your spirits. And validation is okay, I think. So that's awesome. So Mackenzie uses sticky notes. That's great. And Maria writes on her bathroom mirror. Amber's going to do that. What else would y'all like to talk about today? We're going to close in 5 minutes unless we get on to something that takes us farther. Everybody doing all right with your studies? Where are the graduates? Did anybody graduate recently? Yay, Kayla, Seth, congratulations. Good for you. Who else? Alina, congratulations. Who else? Are we clapping or? Excellent. Excellent. So congratulations, graduates. And all right then. Yes, I mentioned MCAT. Do you want to talk, Megan, do you want to talk about MCAT? You can do it.
Yes. I guess send it through chat, but I was wondering, well, I guess not as much in Texas, but are schools, do you think, maybe considering MCAT less heavily, just with everything that's going on? Like, for instance, I know AAMC sent an email before June 5th exam and was like, we understand there's a lot of crazy things happening, and if you, because of the curfew hours at different cities, or if you've just been so preoccupied, we understand, and if you want to reschedule at no cost, yada, yada, yada. So I was just wondering, would MCAT, do you think, would be less heavily emphasized for this cycle as previous cycles, or it's still like,
I guess tell you yes. I would love to tell you, but I don't know. I don't know if it will have less impact in the assessment of applicants. I don't know. I know that people are talking about that, and I know that people recognize the stress that we've all had that could contribute to a performance that is not what you wanted on the MCAT. there are schools out there, not in Texas, I don't think. The last time we had a meeting, I believe everybody was still going to require it. Whether there's going to be sort of a broader scope of scores, I would imagine that might happen. I think I don't want to tell you anything to make your goal needs to be to do as well as you can, get prepared, reschedule that test if you don't feel prepared, you know. So how was that for a non-answer, Megan? Sorry.
No. I actually think it was, it's really fair. Just like you said, you know, every state is different. And I think with Texas is not, like compared to like somewhere like LA, it's not as tense of a situation that a lot of the MCAT tests have been canceled. But no, I appreciate it. I mean, MCAT is, I guess, one way, like you've mentioned before, a standardized way for medical school applications to compare applicants to one another. So I think that makes total sense.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
if things change, you know, we'll keep you posted as things change. I haven't looked yet. We just at the beginning of June received applications just now, and we received lots of applications that don't have an MCAT yet, like we tell you to do. Go ahead and get everything packaged and send it on so that you can then just turn your attention to studying for the MCAT and then ace it.
Hi, Dr. Kellaway, I have a question.
Yes, Seth, hi.
Hi. So with this interesting application cycle, when do you anticipate that interview invites will begin to be sent out to applicants?
Yes, maybe I'm anticipating August. Many of the schools have said they're going to start interviewing in September. I think it is safe for me to say Long is going to start interviewing in September, but if we have enough people with a completed application, completed for us means the application and an MCAT. The SOVI, of course, is recommended but not required, and the Casper we can receive after the interview day. That is required, but we can receive it a little bit later. If we have enough people, we might interview in the end of August. So I think you could anticipate getting first invites in late July or August. I don't necessarily recommend it, but I know that there are chats on Reddit and Student Doctor Network where there's a lot of information flying. I got an invite. What were your stats? What's your Lizzie score and all that stuff. There's a lot of that. And I would really love for y'all to, I like to do myth busting on Student Doctor Network. I do lurk there. I lurk. I need to go ahead and join so I can put my opinion out there, because some of it's just wrong. And, you know, people can say anything on either of those venues. I think people can say anything. And that gets back to Natalie or Fatima or somebody who was talking about it is your path, it is your journey, and it's good to have the information, but don't let that influence you. And I think that makes a lot of people out there on those platforms nervous, and you do not need, that is just not good energy, right? So
yeah. I mean, because Student Doctor Network has a lot of rumors floating around, and so typically try to avoid it. So you know, I'm just trying to gauge the timeline exactly and what to expect.
Yes. So I would say August-ish. We'll start to see some things happening. And then I think it's going to pick up once September starts. So.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think we had some in the chat. May we says, quick question. Yes. I don't know that we are going to have there. You see the chat, right? May we is saying that some schools, this is true, some schools are selecting some people from the applicant pool now to join their class next year. We're we're all afraid that maybe the numbers are going to go down, that we can't fill our class, that we can't get enough interviews done or enough people selecting our school to fill a class. And that was only part of the rationale for the schools who proposed this to the group. And we all acted as a team like we do in Texas, and we are allowing the schools who want to do that to go ahead with those deferrals for next year. But we also, all of us, I think they proposed it, that it be a limited number of spots, like 5% of the class or something like that. I don't know that we're going to do that. The wait list movement has been a little slow and pretty slow in the last couple of weeks, and we have another couple of weeks to go. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that we always see great people on the wait list and try to make notes so that we see them again next year. But I'm thinking we'll get to interview and do it in the regular way. I hope that helped you, Mai Hui. Oh, so don't worry about shooting yourself in the foot. We have so many people, most people who retake the MCAT do better. And people who get some great organized study plan arranged and with discipline attack that plan really do a lot better. So I don't think you'll lose anything by getting the application in, even if you need to retake the MCAT. For this cycle, the latest. Okay, so I believe that most of the schools are interviewing, can't speak for all the schools, but I go to those meetings. We're all interviewing in January. Most of us are interviewing in February, I believe. Like Long School of Medicine will be interviewing into February. And y'all, I told y'all last time, right? The timeline is different. It's March now. It's not a February like it has been for the past 25 years. It's not a February 1 match. It's a March 1 match. And so, yeah, maybe I could go call. If you see somebody called Mythbuster, maybe that'll be my name on Student Doctor Network. There are so many times I want to say, really, just relax, and you're making people nervous, and this is just not true. Or this is one person's experience, and it is not the majority's experience. You just have to take that with a grain of salt. Dr. Cavazos, I don't know if any of y'all know, we have a terrific MD PhD program. He has 7 medical student MSTP training program. That's the MD PhD program. And it's terrific. And he's just out there. He's just out there on Student Doctor Network as himself to do his own myth busting. So maybe I need to just be brave and do it. Let's see, Alina, beginning July. Yes. Oh, yes, I don't think so. Alina, you're worried about, or not worried, but stating that your transcripts are going to come along a little bit later. I wouldn't worry about that at all. We don't dig into detail into transcripts unless we need to, unless we're looking at somebody with a GPA that maybe should be higher, but we're looking at trends and we want to see what the coursework, or we're unfamiliar with the school or the major, we look into the details of the transcript. But that's not very often because we get enough grades to get us going,
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. All right. What else? All right. You can always email me. All right, or ask next time. So we'll probably do the same thing. We'll probably do the personal growth plan. We'll go into it a little bit, but it'll probably be a shorter presentation. So be thinking of questions. Maybe I'll put them on the registration, and so we can have them ahead of time. You are very welcome. You're very welcome. I love chatting with y'all. So be safe and be well. And try to put some good energy into the world, because it's a time when we really need some good energy. And there are so many so many people suffering. So I want you to go do good things, okay? And put some good into the world, because the world needs it. All right. All righty. Nice to see y'all. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay. You're very welcome. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. You're very welcome. Take care.